9 potential causes of depression. Do you have depression? There's a good chance that it's yes, statistics show. But have you ever wondered why? If this is a question that has plagued you for a while, maybe we can help you find out the answer. Today, we're going to look at some of the causes of depression and possibly help you find out what causes your specific depression. But first, before we begin this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more daily tips like this and turn on notifications so you never miss our new videos. Because we care about you and we want to do anything we can to help you get through this difficult time. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Depression is a serious issue, and it has long been studied by universities and colleges, but the exact cause of depression is still to be determined. However, we have some educated ideas about what might cause the mental disorder. According to the World Health Organization, an estimated 350 million people around the world suffer from depression. A guest writer at the Huffington Post named Johann Hari described the potential deeper causes of depression. The story begins with Dr. Vincent Folletti's clinic in the 1980s. His practice was known to be one of the last places for extremely obese people to visit. His office was long regarded as the place for people in the most severe stages of obesity. Within his program, many people were able to shed incredible amounts of weight and regain a healthy lifestyle. But he noticed that the people who lost the most weight very often went into a brutal depression or panic or rage. Some of them even became suicidal. Dr. Folletti couldn't understand the problem until he spoke to a 28-year-old woman. In less than a year, 51 weeks, the woman went from a whopping 408 pounds to 132 pounds. But suddenly, she put on over 40 pounds in a couple of weeks, and before long, she regained all her weight back and was above 400 pounds once again. When Dr. Folletti talked to her, she said that when she was obese, men wouldn't be interested in her. But after she lost all that weight, she began to incur the interest of the opposite sex, and being unaccustomed to the attention, she would flee from the interaction and gorge herself on food. As the conversation unraveled, Dr. Folletti asked the woman when she began to compulsively eat, and the woman said at the age of 11. When Dr. Folletti began to probe, he found out that this was the age when her grandfather began molesting her. Dr. Folletti found out that of the 183 people in his program, 55% of the people there had been sexually abused as a kid. One woman said, "Overweight is overlooked, and that's the way I need to be." Dr. Folletti said, what we had perceived as the problem, major obesity, was in fact very frequently the solution to problems that the rest of us knew nothing about. This prompted Dr. Folletti to launch a research program that was funded by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. He discovered that there was a direct correlation between childhood trauma and the risk of adult depression. If a child had 7 categories of traumatic events, then they were 3,100% more likely to commit suicide as an adult, with an additional 4,000% higher chance of being an injecting drug user. But the research found out that just by discussing the childhood trauma, there could be a huge reduction in medical care. Johann Hari wrote for the Huffington Post saying, just being able to discuss the trauma led to a huge fall in future illnesses. There was a 35% reduction in their need for medical care over the following year. For the people who were referred to more extensive help, there was a fall of more than 50%. And as Dr. Robert Anda put it, it's time to stop asking what's wrong with them and time to start asking what happened to them. Wow, that was really heavy. However, keep in mind that childhood trauma isn't the only thing that causes depression. Like, what if you haven't gone through any childhood trauma and still feel really depressed all the time? Don't feel guilty. There are plenty of other reasons as to why you may feel depressed. So in order to answer the question, what causes depression, we're going to go through a couple more causes, and who knows, maybe you'll find yours. Number 1, genetics and biology. This might be the hardest one to cope with because you could have the best of lives, but because it's in your genes, you have to live with depression. According to Verywell Mind, twin, adoption, and family studies have linked depression to genetics. Also, they have found that having a sibling or a parent with depression also increases your risk factor. This kind of thing can be hard for families to talk about, but if you're afraid that you're suffering from the mental illness, try talking to your mom, dad, sister, brother, or any other family member about it. You never know what you'll discover and what you two, or more than two, can do to combat this awful affliction. Number 2. Brain chemistry imbalance. This is one of the most popular believed causes of depression. Very Well Mind has a great article where they explain how depression is caused by an imbalance in the neurotransmitters, at least the ones that are involved in mood regulation. Essentially, these neurotransmitters are what help the different parts of your brain talk to each other. And when they're in short supply, most of the time you'll find yourself experiencing symptoms of depression. Try talking to a doctor about this, and maybe you can get them to check on your brain. The science is still a little wonky, but they can do their best to try and diagnose you. Number 3. Female reproductive hormones. It's hard enough being a woman. You have to deal with menstruation, pregnancy, and now you're apparently twice as likely to suffer from depression, according to a study done by expert Nancy Schmippelfinning. And because the cases of depression peak during your reproductive years, experts and researchers are starting to believe it's due to your hormones. Let's look at all the times when your hormones are at their worst: menstrual period, childbirth, and perimenopause. Those are also coincidentally when your risk of depression goes up. Well, it's not really much of a coincidence, it just kind of sucks. Speak with your medical professional and see what they can do about it. Unfortunately, there might not be much. Number 4. Circadian rhythm disturbance. Wow, that's a lot of words. Here, we'll call it by its more popular name, seasonal affective disorder. Essentially, when your circadian rhythm is disturbed, hence the name, you'll be more depressed. Very Well Mind explains it perfectly. Light entering the eye influences this rhythm, and during the shorter days of winter, when people may spend limited time outdoors, this rhythm may become disrupted. So if you live in a colder climate and find yourself getting very depressed during the winter months, you may just be affected by this disorder. Number 5. Poor nutrition. If you've got a low amount of certain vitamins, this might be causing your depression. Which vitamins, you ask? Luckily, Beyond Blue has a helpful list of diets who might be more affected more often by depression for us. Those that are low in omega-3 fatty acids or with an imbalanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 are associated with increased rates of depression. In addition, diets high in sugar have been associated with depression. Either you'll want to cut down on the sugar or up your intake of those types of vitamins. Our advice, if you can't find foods with omega-6 to omega-3, take supplements. Number 6. Serious medical illness. It's not just the pain and suffering that is caused by your illness, but the stress and anxiety that comes with it as well that could be causing your depression. Also, you can get depression from a family member, friend, or loved one who has a serious medical illness. Sicknesses can be hard for all of us, and we need to stick together to get through them. Number 7. Personality. Unfortunately, your depression can be caused by something as little as your personality. Beyond Blue helps us understand what kinds of people might be affected the most. Specifically, those that worry a lot, have low self-esteem, are perfectionists, are sensitive to personal criticism, or are self-critical and negative. Of course, any personality can suffer from depression. It's just these people that tend to suffer from it more often. Number 8. Drugs and alcohol. Finally, drugs and alcohol abuse is one of the leading causes of depression. In a study done by Beyond Blue, they found out that over 500,000 Australians will experience depression and a substance use disorder at the same time at some point in their lives. The link between the two is fairly evident. Our advice: if you use either of them as a crutch, seek help. You may not think it, but there are a lot of people out there who care about you and want to see you get better. And that concludes our video. We're sorry we couldn't be our fun-loving, wacky selves during this video, but depression is a real serious issue. If you're having trouble coping, please make sure to visit a medical professional or, in the very least, talk to someone that you love. Heck, if you feel comfortable, please share your stories in the comments section below, whether it be words of encouragement or an experience you want to get off your chest. Maybe someone out there will read it, and you can help them not feel so alone. Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.